Hello everybody and welcome to another video, another review of an old Hammer film. This time I'm going to be reviewing The Devil Rides Out, starring Christopher Lee, Charles Gray, Patrick Mower and Paul Eddington. This film, The Devil Rides Out, is one of Christopher Lee's favourite movies. He says to have liked this one of his favourite movies. In this one, he plays a hero, he plays a heroic role this time instead of playing Dracula. Like I've said, this one is his favourite. He's said to have enjoyed making this one. And the writer of the book, which the film is based on, is said to be so impressed with the film and Christopher Lee's performance, he gave Christopher Lee a first edition of his book, The Devil Rides Out. And like I've said, this one starring Christopher Lee and also starring Charles Gray, who was another famous actor who's been in one or two films. Of course, he's been in two of the James Bond films, To Only Live Twice and Diamonds Are Forever. And he was also in other films and TV series. And also in this one, starring a very young Patrick Mower, who was just a up-and-coming young actor at the time. And Paul Eddington, we all remember Paul Eddington. He went on to star in Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister. This film is about Christopher Lee trying to save his nephew, Patrick Mower, from the clutches of a satanic cult. He gets involved in a satanic cult, and the leader of this satanic cult is Charles Gray, who in this film tries to summon the devil himself. He tries all sorts of manner of illusions and other tricks to try and win over the young Patrick Mower, join him and his cult. And of course, Christopher Lee saves the day by defeating this evil cult, but along the way he has to fight the devil himself. And of course there has to be a sacrifice, which there is in this film. A human sacrifice has to be in this film. But like I've said, it's this one is one of Christopher Lee's favourite films. At least in this one, he doesn't have to wear a cape or wear fangs. This one is another Hammer production, and once again, this is directed by Terence Fisher, who directed quite a number of Hammer films. But like I've said, this is said to be Christopher Lee's favourite amongst his films. Amongst his films, he's said to have, this is one of his favourites. I think it made quite a nice change for Christopher Lee to play a heroic role for a change than keep playing Dracula, who always seems to return to dust at end of every Dracula film. I think it made a nice change for him to get away from that kind of movies. And of course, Christopher Lee wasn't in the Brides of Dracula. He didn't want to make that film because he didn't want to be typecast. He didn't want to keep playing the same character over and over again, who keeps being resurrected and then meets his. And of course, we all know what happens to Dracula at the end of every film, don't we? He's he's turned to dust or some other form. He meets his end. But like I've said, Christopher Lee, I think Christopher Lee enjoyed making this one. He really did enjoy making this one. This film was originally wanted to be made in the early 60s, but it had to wait until 1967 when it went into production, and it was released in 1968. It made a modest return, but it wasn't a really blockbuster movie like they am today. It just like I've said, it made a modest return. It did all right. It wasn't really a box office hit, but it was quite enjoyable. Quite enjoyable film, and like I've said, Christopher Lee he enjoyed making this film. Made a change for him to play a heroic heroic role to keep playing the villain like he does in so many of his films. It's not very often Christopher Lee plays a heroic heroic role. He always seems to be just as the villain in any of the films he's made, especially the earlier Hammer films, the Curse of Frankenstein and Dracula. Well, anyway, that's the end of my review of The Devil Rides Out. I'll see you all again in another video.